What's up, guys? So something I've gotten a lot of phone calls about over the last couple weeks, and a couple things to think about. I've done a lot of therapy dogs. As you know, we have a ton of therapy dogs out there. We have several therapy dogs that we're training now. On top of that, we've had a lot of our previous therapy dog handlers reach out to us about various certifications and issues they're running into. Several saying that it feels like, all these companies that certify therapy dogs seems like a cash grab type situation. And, sometimes it does feel like that. It doesn't make any sense why they do what they do, but, it is what it is. For instance, one of my handlers reached out to me yesterday, and they've been trying to renew their certification with the organization since February. They've called, they've emailed, they've reached out to the evaluator that we had out. Still can't get the renewal taken care of. So kind of in limbo. They don't know what they're going to do. And a lot of the therapy dogs that we deal with are not just with individuals that go to facilities. These are dogs that are working within organizations such as EMS, fire, law enforcement, hospitals, school systems, adult child protective service systems, and yeah, covers it. So a lot of these agencies, their insurance companies are always looking at liability, so they're binding them to some sort of certification, and without that active certification, these dogs can't be utilized. And near and dear to me, Mercy Services, mental health is a huge thing right now. It's a huge topic. It's always needed to be a topic, but for whatever reason, it's not been up until about the last 5 years. And every year we gain more and more and more momentum in the right direction to combat that. Every year, every year, a ton of emergency service workers commit suicide, and it just doesn't need to happen, right? So that's our mission, that's our goal, is to put dogs within these organizations, whether it be a therapy dog that's attached to the handler or a therapy dog that is a facility dog. There's a lot of research out there. There's a lot of people doing good things with it. There's some agencies close to me that have started reaching out about facility dogs, having dogs. And for those of you who don't know, you have a therapy dog that's attached to a handler, they go do blah, blah, blah. Then you have a facility dog that lives at the building and is there for everybody 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's maintained by the staff there. Tomato, some people feel like, well, it's just something else we got to do. Yeah, but you know what? There's however many people at that building that can share the workload. As long as everybody does their part, the dog's going to be taken care of. All the cleaning needs are going to be met. The dog's going to be fed. The program is going to be utilized. And if one individual is not doing that, call them out on it, right? Besides that, getting back to the certification standards, there has to be some sort of certification, right? There's got to be some kind of evaluation, some type of process, etc. So with the amount of phone calls that we've gotten in the last couple of weeks, one of the things that I've had several discussions with a few of the trainers is writing my own standard under ncringdogs, letting that be an evaluation and having a criteria for people to become evaluators. For Canine Good Citizen, hey, you just send them an email, you can completely falsify all your information, bam, and now you've got a CGC evaluator. It's just so unregulated, it's dumb, right? Then Therapy Dog International, and the agencies that I've worked with before, their insurance has said, hey, you guys have to use this standard, right? They wouldn't say who, they would just say it has to be some type of standard, some type of recognized therapy dog standard. Well, they go through TDI. They can't get back in touch with TDI to renew their certifications. I don't know what to tell them because I'm not a TDI evaluator or anything of the sort. I'm not affiliated with them, so I don't care. I don't care what TDI has to say. I care about the dogs being certified. So the handlers have reached out, they've had issues, but my problem with TDI is the multiple evaluations that I've seen from various evaluators. It's almost like the evaluator can physically take your leash or help your hand and put the dog in the right position, walk away, okay, cool, they didn't get up, we're going to count that as a pass. And you know, these dogs need to be able to do more than that. They need to be able to held to a higher standard. They're going through all this training. Agencies are paying for training. They're spending money on this dog. They're doing what they need to be doing to help combat this mental health and take charge of that situation. But then the certification part's failing them, and we have YouTube dog trainers out here, Instagram dog trainers out here, putting dogs in agencies that shouldn't be there. So for my opinion, it's very different from having a therapy dog that's going to go to the school, let some kids read to it, or go to the nursing home or anything like that. These dogs are potentially working around equipment, trucks, you know, maybe patients coming in and out, citizens coming in and out. They could be utilized to go to schools, for public events. They're going to parades downtown. And you know, the last thing any emergency service organization needs is for one of us to do something inappropriate or bad that puts a bad name on the agency. We also don't need a dog that doesn't need to be there doing the same thing, right? So, get off balance, about fell down. It's probably because my shoes are crap. So, it's unfortunate that so many agencies are caught in this limbo with certification standards and what the certification means. And certifications are just like law. It's all about interpretation. So it's kind of led us to wanting to write our own certification standard and say, this is how things are going to be. Some of the things we've talked about is various scenarios of a long down. Stricter obedience. To a degree, stricter obedience. Several Therapy Dog International organizations are not a fan of e-collars and prong collars. I think they're a great tool. They're a great safety net for a lot of these dogs. You know, a lot of police dogs wear e-collars. I know a lot of police dogs that don't have a need for it, but they wear it as a safety. So we should be able to have those safety nets in place with us. The dog should be able to do the certification without it. They should be able to do the certification with it. It shouldn't mean anything to them, right? And that would be part of our evaluation. There's a lot of logistical moving parts to that. Our biggest thing is we want that information to be able to go public. So with our certification standard that we're going to write, and I say we're going to because it's going to happen, we want evaluators, separate evaluators coming in and looking at it, and those evaluators will be approved and talked to, and background checks and all those fun things, because we think that's important. Secondly, those handlers are going to get not only a certificate, they're going to get a very specific ID card. We're looking at a couple different ways to make them so they cannot be carbon copied in some way, shape, form, fashion. Very specific to us. There'll be a Excel sheet of some type of list on our website that tells you if that dog has had a certification, who did the certification, who the evaluator was, the day it was passed. Everything's going to be a pass-fail. There's no point system, because you know, if you know, you know, thanks to emergency services and the way we have to do things, everything is, you know, satisfactory, unsatisfactory, and that's how our evaluation is going to be. Again, if you know, you know. Then within that, we are also going to have that list to say if the dog certification is expired, because unfortunately people try to put that information out there and say that my dog's certified or whatever, and it's not anymore. So it'll be a 2-year certification. That dog will be issued a serial number from that day, and it will be that dog's serial number for life. So if the certification expires and then they come back to it 6 months after that, it's still, you know, that serial number is attached to that dog forever and ever, amen. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Any suggestions, comments, concerns, put them in the comments. Shoot me a message at info@ncringdogs.com and put therapy dog evaluation, certification, standard, something like that, in the subject line. Guys, be safe.